previous class, we were discussing about some of the control systems. So this is a basic closed loop control system. Then this is a water level controller, which we have seen in the previous class, where you can adjust the level of the water as per your requirement. Then this is a closed loop control system. Another example is missile guidance system. You can see there is an input coming to the missile from radar, and the radar will decide what angle and all. The system controller will decide what angle the missile has to be fired, and it can fire it and check. And there is some onboard facilities on which the missile will take the corrective action and fire the aircraft. Then this is a constant tension reeling system, which we have discussed in the previous class. I have given you the example of this tape recorder, which we have seen in the previous class. See here, the main aim of this control system is to control the speed of this particular roller on which the paper is getting wound, such that there will be a constant tension in the paper. If the tension in the paper is less, then the paper will sag, whereas if there is an excess tension in the paper is there, then paper will get damaged or cut. So as we have seen, as the roller diameter goes on increasing, the speed goes on increasing if the velocity RPM is kept constant. So here, because the speed is the function of, here the speed is pi dn by 60, where d is the diameter of the roller. Please mute your mics. Some people have kept their mics on. So here, if you see, as the roller diameter goes on increasing, even though speed n is constant, as d goes on increasing, the velocity goes on increasing. Then there will be more tension in the paper. So the tension in the paper is monitored by the spring roller, and it will control the position of the jockey on this resistance, and thereby which the field supply to this DC motor is regulated, and because of that the speed of the motor changes such that velocity is kept constant, that is pi dn upon 60. So d into n is equal to v approximately. So to keep the v constant, as d goes on increasing, n has to be decreased. If the d goes on decreasing, n has to be, yes, now constant tension reeling system. There is some. In this constant tension reeling system, here the v is a function of d and n. When d increases, n has to be decreased so that the v has to be kept constant. So now this motor is variable speed drive. So as the diameter of the roller goes on increasing, the speed n has to be reduced so that the velocity remains constant and the paper will not break. The similar arrangement is there in the tape recorder also, that we have discussed in the previous class. Then the next example is a closed loop control system of a reactor, which is a temperature control system. So here the temperature is continuously monitored and set to a fixed value. So this is similar to your air conditioner, oven, heating iron, water heater, or so on. So all these examples are already given in Nagarat Gopal book at the back. And sometimes some 5 marks question will be asked on some of these systems. And otherwise you are asked to give some example for different closed loop and open loop systems. You can frame on your own also. You can show certain examples on your own also. There is no issue with that. So it is not necessary you have to copy from the book only. But sometimes, if you see the old question papers of VTU and GIT, sometimes the constant tension reeling system, this reactor, missile guidance system is asked. So that's why I have given this. Similarly, this is a example of a VAT governor experiment you have done in our DOM lab also. This is a VAT governor is a speed control device. It will control the speed. See, here you can see the two balls, and as the speed increases, the centrifugal force is m omega square r. As the mass of the ball is constant, omega increases as the speed increases. So centrifugal force increases, and because of the centrifugal force, increase in the centrifugal force, these balls will start flying apart. That means radius of rotation of this ball increases, and because of that, the sleeve moves up. When the sleeve moves up, it will, because of this lever, this end moves up, this end comes down, and it will close this valve through which the steam is being supplied to the engine. As the amount of steam supplied to the engine decreases, the speed decreases. So this is how, if there is a more than set value increase in the speed, so it is regulated to keep the speed constant. This is what is the example of one Hartnell governor, or a Hartnell governor is a spring-loaded governor, Powell governor, Porter governor, whatever, centrifugal governor is there. Now, coming back to here, we have completed the basic introduction chapter to you. In this basic introduction chapter, the type of question, this is our first half unit is over now. So in the first half unit, the type of questions asked is: 1, what is control system? 2, what are the requirements of the control system? The requirements of the control system is already, after we complete this topic, we'll share you the PPT where you will get all these details. In the PPT, you might have seen what are the requirements of the control system, like sensitivity, stability, speed of response, accuracy, then disturbance, and all those things, what is being listed, that you have to write. Then you have to classify the control system. So you have to classify the control system, that is also given: open loop control and closed loop control. In open loop control, its advantages and disadvantages is asked sometimes. Advantages of the open loop control, advantages of closed loop control, disadvantages of open loop, disadvantages of closed loop control system, along with certain example. This is another type of question you can expect from this particular chapter. In addition to that, you are asked to one type of question which I have seen recently is, take one example of a control system which is open loop in nature and suggest modifications on that to make it closed loop control system. So this type of question are also asked. I can give you one, you can frame on your own. There are so many which you have seen in nature everyday basis. So one is the traffic signal. Traffic signal is basically a open loop system, because it is, for each road, a fixed amount of time is assigned for green signal and fixed amount of time for red signal. So here, whole day it will run with the same thing. So sometimes it is not useful because it is an open loop system. But to make it closed loop system, you have to modify that traffic light by having some arrangement to measure the traffic. That means you can have some RFID near that, or say ultrasound, or some signals which will count the number of vehicles passing, standing in front of the signal. And if the count of the vehicle exceeds a certain limit, the light has to turn green, something like that. Similarly, there is a pedestrian crossing which also can be controlled by some arrangement. So once again, this class is not getting recorded. Not recorded today. What we'll sort it out in the next class. Then, after looking at these control systems and their nature, the next topic in this particular chapter or first unit is transfer function. Now, here, before coming to transfer function, Here, the basic job is to control a particular process. So in a particular process, if you want to control, that means the parameter has to be controlled. If the parameter has to be controlled, that means to design a particular type of a controller, you should have a proper understanding of input and output, which input and which output we are interested in. There may be, in a particular system, there may be number of inputs, number of outputs. But in general, we are talking about single input, single output type of system. You can see here, there is only. See here, this is a basic transfer function, which will basically give the relationship between input and output. The transfer function is a model in a domain of mathematical model of the control systems. The transfer function, as per the definition, you can see the definition here. Transfer function is linear time invariant system, is defined as ratio of Laplace transform of output to Laplace transform of input, assuming all initial conditions 0. So basically, why you want a transfer function? The transfer function basically gives you idea between the input and output. So what is the relationship between input and output of the system? If the input is X, output is Y here as shown. So what is the relationship? If X increases by say 10 units, how much Y will increase? Whether it will increase by 20 units or 5 units or 2 units, this relationship we have to establish. Because unless we establish the relationship between input and output, it is not possible to design the system. For example, I will take you, say if it is a water heater. If the water heater, if the input temperature, if you want output temperature of the water as 60 degrees centigrade, how much input power it has to give it to the system to reach a 60 degrees centigrade? That relationship you want. So basically, how much power has to be supplied by a controller to a water heater to reach 60 degrees centigrade and keep within certain tolerance band of that. So 60 means not exactly 60. It may be anywhere between 65 to 55 degrees centigrade. So this relationship is given by a transfer function, and it is once again a ratio of output to input Laplace transform, assuming all initial conditions 0. Assuming all initial conditions 0. So what does in this means is, you have to have what is known as you have to take the Laplace transform of output and Laplace transform of input, and you divide the Laplace transform of output to Laplace transform of input. Now, after that, in the definition, it is also given that linear time invariant systems. See here, you can see linear time invariant systems. That means this model is applicable to only linear time invariant systems. What do you mean by linear time invariant systems? Invariant system means here the system equation should be linear in nature. Linear in nature means that means there should not be any non-linearity associated with the system. For example, if you have studied in vibration, a spring mass damper system. The spring mass damper system, you can write it in the form of mx double dot plus fx plus k is equal to f. This is one equation you write very frequently. Mx double dot plus fx plus k, where m is the mass of the system, f is coefficient of damping, and k is spring stiffness. So this is a linear system, even though it will consist of second order differential equation, mx double dot, that is m into d square x by dt square, plus fx dot means f into dx by dt, plus k into x is equal to external force or force applied on the system. So this is what is a linear system, basically because there is all the terms of the things are present, and it is basically a differential equation. So similarly, The non-linear system means, suppose some of the components involved in that is non-linear in nature. That means, first of all, the mass, if you take, here we are taking mass as constant. Similarly, we are taking damping ratio F as constant. We are taking K, that is spring stiffness, as constant. But the mass may change. The mass may change. Suppose you are explaining a system whose mass is not constant, then it becomes a non-linear system. Similarly, if you are talking about the system where the osmosis is taking place, in the osmosis means they are all partial differential equations, not the differential equations. The partial differential equations cannot be considered here. So they have to be linear differential equations only. This is one part. Then what is meant by time invariant? Time invariant means here the independent variable is time. X is dependent variable, whereas t is independent variable. So in the system, t should not become a dependent variable. If the t becomes a dependent variable, then it is called as time variant system. So time variant systems cannot be discussed here. We cannot discuss the transfer function of that, but we have to discuss only when the time is independent variable appears in the denominator, d square x by dt square. So t should not appear in anywhere in numerator in a crude sense. So here that becomes time invariant system. So we are going to discuss only for linear systems and time invariant systems, and we are taking a Laplace transform of output and Laplace transform of input and dividing Laplace transform of output to Laplace transform of input, and thereby which we are finding out transfer function. See, when we take a Laplace transform, that means we have to associate what is known as here so some standard Laplace transforms we will see, because I want to just freshen up that. I think it is missing. So I forgot to put the Laplace transform here. Anyway, we will discuss in the next class. That is after the break. But before that, if you see the transfer function here, so basically it is the transfer function is defined as the Laplace transform of output to Laplace transform of input, assuming the initial condition 0. Basically, why we have to study the Laplace transform, that we have to see first. So in your maths, you have already studied the Laplace transform, and some of the equations you are very much familiar with. So some of the equations which you are familiar with, the basic aim of Laplace transform, you might have used it to solve the differential equations. There are number of methods of solving the differential equations. So like CF plus PI method, that is complementary function and particular integral method, that is one way of solving the differential equation. Another way of solving differential equation is by Laplace transform. So if you take the Laplace transform of any given function, a differential equation gets converted into algebraic equation. So the advantage of algebraic equation is that algebraic equations are linear algebraic equations can be easily solved. For example, suppose you are in school also, you might have done the equations like x plus y is equal to 5 and x minus y is equal to 2. There are two variables, x and y. They are linear variables. X plus y is equal to 5 and x minus y is equal to 2. these are the two equations. From the two equations, you can very easily find two unknowns, that is x and y. So x plus y is equal to, so wherever from the equation 2, you can substitute that in equation 1, and thereby which you can obtain the value of x and y. This is linear simultaneous algebraic equations. So whereas the differential equations cannot be solved like this. So what we do in a Laplace transform, so first we take the Laplace of the equation. So if you take the Laplace transform of the equation gets converted into algebraic equation. So once algebraic equation is there, then you can, if there are n variables and if there are n equations, all the n variable values can be found out, and thereby which you can solve. But here in this particular chapter of transfer function, we are not actually going to solve the differential equation. We are not going to solve the differential equation. Just we are going to find out the relationship between output and input. Nothing more than that. Output and input. So for that purpose, so some standard Laplace transforms you have to use. That is, a Laplace transform of f of t becomes f of s. That means t gets replaced by a Laplace operator. The Laplace operator is a complex function where s stands for some complex number. So here function f of t becomes f of s after taking a Laplace transform, or f of s after taking the inverse Laplace transform becomes f of t. So you can take both first Laplace transform and convert it into a Laplace transform method, and otherwise you convert back into what is known as inverse Laplace, and thereby which you can get the required solution by taking the inverse Laplace. So the basic standard Laplace transforms we'll discuss in the next class. As of now, you can unmute your mouse and ask me any questions if you have any. So already it is 10:40. So we'll take a break of 15 minutes because I have forgot to put that table. Meantime, I will put that table and show it. Oh, yes. Anybody wants to ask the question on transfer function? This is a basic definition. This always appears in most of the question papers for max 2 marks. So the transfer function of a mathematical model in the control system, the transfer function of a linear time invariant system is defined as the ratio of Laplace transform of output to Laplace transform of input by assuming all initial conditions 0. So this is what is the function, and if you don't have any questions, we'll take a break for 10 minutes, and at 11 o'clock I will start with the Laplace transform and take some basic functions. Okay, so we'll stop. We want only elementary things about this Laplace transform, nothing more. See, the one approach of transfer function is through Laplace transform. Another approach is through Z transform. Z transform, basically electronic students and computer science students are much familiar with Z transforms because they frequently come across resistance, capacitance, inductance and all. So that time for them using Z transform method becomes easier. For mechanical students, as we are basically dealing with the physical systems like spring mass damper systems, torsional system or hydraulic system, fluid flow system, etc., etc. For us, the Laplace transform is more than sufficient, and some standard Laplace transforms which you are already familiar, nothing great about it. So that idea you should get. So the first Laplace transform here, which I have said, these are the standard Laplace transforms. So first one is Laplace transform of f of t becomes f of s. So you can see the arrow here. This arrow is both way. That means Laplace transform of f of t becomes f of s, whereas Laplace transform of inverse Laplace of f of s becomes f of t. That's what it means. That's why the arrows are double-sided arrows. Then linearity function is there. So suppose you have two functions, a1 f1 of t plus a2 f2 of t. So where a1 and a2 are constants, so they doesn't change. If you take a Laplace transform of that, it will become a1 f1 of s and plus a2 f2 of s. There is one method of following here. After you take a Laplace transform, all lowercase letters have to be changed to uppercase letters. So you can see f1 of t is in lowercase letter here. After taking a Laplace transform, it is written as capital F1 of s, not small f1 of t becomes capital F1 of s, and a1 gets multiplied with corresponding this. So this is called as linearity function. So any constant, if you are multiplying with the function, after taking a Laplace transform, that constant will not change. Only that function will change from f of t to capital F of s. Then this is a scale change operation is there. Scale change operation, Laplace transform of f of t upon a. Instead of t, it is t upon a, where a is constant. So after taking a Laplace transform, it becomes a f of as, not f of s alone. So that a into f of as it becomes, when this you can see here. Then real transform, there is a similar such thing. See, all these standard Laplace transform, you need not have to refer to any maths book. If you refer to maths book, it is fine. We don't have any issue. But even if you open a Nagarath Gopal, at the end of the book, there is an appendix section. In appendix section, different formulas are given. In that appendix number 1 only, we have taken this chart from the same book. So you can see that it is available in appendix books also. Then you can see the complex transform. This is the next one. If you see this, so here you can see here e of at into f of t becomes f of a plus s plus a, like that. Then the most important equation which will come across is differentiation equation. See here, this is a general differentiation equation. D to the power n raised to dn raised to n f of t. So the nth difference of f of t becomes s to the power n into f of s minus, there are so many initial conditions, that is s n raised to minus 1 into f of 0 minus s raised to n minus 2 into df by dt of 0, so on up to d to the power n minus 1 divided by d t to the power n minus 1 of 0. So so nth difference means there will be n initial conditions. Those initial conditions will come. But the first function is most important, s to the power n into f of s. S to the power, because if you see the definition of a transfer function in the previous class, we have seen their initial conditions have to be assumed 0. So there is no need of considering those initial conditions as far as control engineering is concerned. In actual mathematics, yes, those initial conditions will definitely come. But in control engineering, as the initial conditions are assumed to be 0, so the other things, other factors will not come into the picture. So that means it is d to the power n raised divided by d to the power n into f of t becomes s to the power n into f of s. That means d by dt of f of t becomes s f of s. d square f of t by dt square. d square f of t by dt square becomes s square into f of s. Similarly, d cube f of t upon dt cube becomes s cube f of s. That means how many times the difference is taken, that to the s becomes that to the power. That means first difference d by dt s to the power 1, d square by dt square s to the power 2, d cube by dt cube s to the power 3 max. That is what is the case. Exactly opposite thing happens to the integration. If you take a Laplace transform of integration of minus infinity to t. See, remember one thing is a Laplace transform is always a single-sided function. Single-sided function means differentiation or integration you have to take from 0 to t only, not minus infinity to plus infinity. So if you have a function like minus infinity to plus infinity integration or a differentiation, in that case it becomes a double-sided function. But here up to present instance, that is called as initial condition, and after this present incidence only one-sided function will come. That means t to infinity, like that. So here if you see minus infinity to t integration f of t becomes f of s divided by s plus initial conditions. So initial conditions are 0, so we need not have to bother. So it is very simple. If there is a differentiation, s to the power n goes on increasing depending on the order of the differentiation. That means if it is 1, s to the power 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, like that. Exactly opposite thing happens in the integration. If it is a first integration, it is divided by s. Double integration divided by s square. Triple integration divided by s cube. Like that.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, your PPT is not visible, sir.
PPT is not visible. So today there is constant issue with the Google Meet. Everybody is facing this. Not only in JIT, outside also there is a problem with the all these things. Because some of the staff are handling other, I have just gone through. Everybody is facing this problem.
Is it visible?
No, sir.
No, sir, just screen sharing is off, sir.
Screen sharing once again on karo. It is on only. Now is it visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, it's visible now.
So shall I repeat once again this? You are not
Yes,
seeing
yes.
this? Okay. See, I will come directly to the differentiation. Here you can see the differentiation is there. If you take a Laplace transform of a differentiation, that means d to the power n raised to dt to the power n f of t becomes s to the power n into f of s plus so many initial conditions. We don't bother about that because initial conditions are 0. That means if you take a Laplace transform of a differentiation, order of a differentiation becomes s to the power. That means if it is a first order differentiation, that is d by dt of f of t, Laplace transform of that becomes s into f of s. Whereas if it is d square f of t by dt square, then it becomes s square f of s. If it is d cube f of t by dt cube, Laplace transform of this becomes s cube f of s, so on. And if it is a first order differentiation, there will be one initial condition, second order differential equation, two initial conditions, third order differential equation, three initial conditions. But initial conditions we are assuming 0 only, so they will not appear anywhere. Similarly, integration also, in differentiation it is s to the power n gets multiplied, whereas in integration s to the power n gets divided. A first order integration indicates f of s divided by s. Second integration, double integration becomes f of s divided by s square. Triple integration, f of s divided by s cube with that many initial conditions. Here in differentiation, initial conditions get subtracted. In integration, they get added. That is what is the difference. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Now you can say some standard Laplace transforms are there. Multiplication by t. Multiplication by t. So t to the power n. T is time. It is not a constant. Remember, a is a constant. We use a, b, c, m, f, x. All these things we take it as constants. Whereas we take t as time. So t to the power n into f of t becomes -1 to the power n into d to the power, that is differentiation of dn f of s divided by ds to the power n. So if it is t is 1, t into f of t is minus df of s divided by ds it becomes. If it is t square into f of t, it becomes minus of minus plus it will become. So 1 becomes plus, then d to the power 2, that is d square f of s by ds square. This way it becomes. Then multiplication by 1 upon t, it becomes integration. That is what is the difference. The t to the power n, if it is there, if the t is in the numerator,